Mesechta Zevachim, that Pei Vav Amar Aleph is starting from Pei Hey Amid Beis, 7 lines from the bottom, the Mishnah. So we're going to start. Ve'elu im olu. These are those that if one out of the Mizbeach Yedu, you take them down. Psar kachim kachim, psar kachim kalim. Here we're going to talk about the reason why you're taking it down, because it has no shaykhs to the Mizbeach. Because the psar kachim kachim is divided by, it's eaten by the Kahanim, except for Oila, but the kachim kachim are eaten by the Kahanim. And kachim kalim is not only eaten by the Kahanim, it's also eaten by the Balabatim.
They were still kosher?
They were kosher, but those parts of the meat doesn't belong on the Mizbeach. Okay, same thing with Meis Ha'ima.
So they can't remain there?
No, it has to be taken down. Meis Ha'ima. The Kop Ha'ima was brought on the second day of Pesach for the new weights, for the new wheat, to be able to eat it. You had to be marking the Kop Ha'ima on the second day of Pesach. So what would they? The only part that they would be marked on the Mizbeach was the kmitza, but the moiseh, the leftover of the oima, doesn't belong there. The moiseh of the oima goes to the kahanim. The shtei alechem was brought on Shavuos together with the kivsei shalmei tzibur. So there too, the lechem was divided by the kahanim for them to eat, and the lechem aponim, which was 12 breads that they placed on the shulchan from week to week. That was also divided between the Kahanim for to eat. It wasn't burnt on the Mizbeach. Ushiyari Aminachis, very similar to what we said before. After the Kmitza, the leftover, the Mincha, that goes to the Kahanim. It does not go to the Mizbeach. The Hakteris, and the Hakteris was normally sacrificed on the Mizbeach HaPnimi. Was put on, not on the Mizbeach HaChatzeni. So there it would be, if it was brought on the Mizbeach HaChatzeni, you would take it down. Hatzemeh sheberashi kvasim v'seyo shebezkant yoshim. The difference between the head and the rest of the body.
Why would you put the wool on?
Wait. The rest of the body you have to skin. You have to skin it before you put it on, right? That's how they did it by the gufar carbon. But the heads, they did not skin. They didn't do anything. So skin on the head, and you have the hair. So he says the wool that was on the heads and the beard that on the goats. So he had some and the bones and the sinews. I said, if it took Rogaine, it grew along. Okay. Then some is the bones, Hagidim and the sinews, Kanaim, the horns, Lafayim and the hooves. If they're still connected to the behema, to the carbon, yalu, then you bring it up. Should never, like it says in the pasuk, v'hikta hakoil es hakoil. If it's still connected, if the hair is connected, the beard is connected, the bones, the sinews, the horns, and the hooves are still connected to the animal, then you do bring it up. Like it says, v'hikta hakoil es hakoil, that the kohen makta everything, burns everything on the mizbeach. But what's if it was separated? L'mashal, the beard, the hair, the wool, and the bones and the sinews, they were not connected to the carbon. Lo yalo, it's not brought up. So let me just finish the passing. That you only bring the bus with them.
But if you burn the wool on the sheep, it has a bad smell. No.
The whole head is burnt like that, the way it is. If it's connected.
There's no wool, but it's talking about on the body.
If it's connected, yeah, you burn it that way. I don't know if wool smells bad. It's not tires, it's wool. Okay. It says, the kohen should burn everything on the mizbeach. Everything? Obviously, he's coming to include the bones, the sinews, the horns, and the hooves. I would have thought even when they were separated into pieces, not connected to the carbon, I would say still it all has to be burned. Talmud Levin comes to the pasuk, it says, which is mashma, only the basar and the dam of the carbon are brought on the mizbeach, but not the bones, the gidim, and the kanaim atlafai. It says the Gemara ibas udam. If you're saying they have to be makriv, the meat of the blood, the pasuk says you only should be marking the bus of the dam. So I would have thought, you should only be marking the meat and the blood. So perhaps there's a requirement to disconnect everything. And bring only the bus on the mizbeach, not anything. If there's anything attached, cut it off. There should be a requirement to cut it off. No, meaning that if it's it says. We just said it in the Mishnah. He quoted the pasuk. Yeah. So okay, so how do we coincide these two psukim? So he says pashit michul barim, that if they were connected, there's no requirement to disconnect it. If it's connected, yalo, you bring it up. Peishu, but if they were disconnected, afilu heim beroish hamizbeich, even if it was brought to the top of the mizbeich, you take it down. Because
if it's connected, we
allow it.
If it's separated, why is it separated?
No, it's separated because the pasuk says it should be only the basa. Don't bring up other pieces. So the akoil is telling you if they're connected, but if it's not connected, you have to coincide the both psukim. So he made it now.
What's the other pasuk?
Only the basa of Adam.
How does it just say?
It says right here, okay. Who's the Tana that says that if it was separated, not mechuber to the behema, that you take it down for the mizbeach? Rabbi, it's Rabbi. Where do we see? The Tanya, in a brayso, we learn another brayso where it brings down a machlokes. The first one is not going to be Rabbi. It says over there, same pasuk. You have to burn everything on the mizbeach. To include what has to be burnt: bones, sinews, horns, and hooves. I feel a perishu. This is the Tana comments, not Rabbi Lezer. It's not our Mishnah.
Bones can burn.
Yeah. So he says, I feel a perishu.
It gets scorched. It gets,
scorched. Yeah.
But doesn't get burned.
That's what I mean. Scorched. Perishu. Even if it was perishu, even if it was separated according to the Tana Kama, you still put it on the mizbeach to be burnt. Because it's a vikdaka. Are you going to ask me the second pasuk? It says that you should. It says, "Well, she said, what are we going to do with that pasuk?" Which means only the bas v'dam was sacrificed. He says that's a different limud. Leimelach to teach you ikuli oila, the bas of the oila that was scorched a little bit, was burnt a little bit through the fire of the mizbeach, and then it popped off the mizbeach. Atamachse, you have to bring it back there. But if it was the gidin or the atzames that were burned and it fell off the mizbeach,
even if they were separated,
then you don't. We're talking about even if it was attached, it doesn't matter. You still don't bring it back up.
But otherwise, he holds that you do bring it up.
But otherwise, you have to burn everything, even if it's not connected.
Because we don't learn hakoyim.
That's the kind of cover.
Everything.
Rabbi argues. Rabbi says, like we say, one pasuk says that you burn everything on the mizbeach. Ribu, this pasuk is including
everything, right?
Is including everything, of course. Which only means the bas of Adam. Miyut, it's exclusion. Okay, so which one is it? How do you coincide the two psukim? So we're going to say exactly like we said before. Michubarim. If the Gidmat Sameis or the hair is still connected to the carbon yalu, then you put it up on the Mizbeach. But if they were disconnected from the carbon, even if it's on top of the Mizbeach, you take it down. So it says in the Mishnah, in the Brais, we learned, Rebbe says, Peishu, if it was disconnected from the goof of the carbon, you take it down. We are against the whole time Yedu. That's why I said Yedu. If even it was on the Reish HaMizbeach, Yedu. Okay, of course, Layala, but if it was on the Mizbeach, Yedu. I just said Yedu. Hey, Reish HaMizbeach, Yedu. Okay, it says both is right. You don't bring it up, and if you brought it up, Yedu. Okay, Abba Zayda said, Lo Shano, the Chachmei Abarais didn't learn the Seder of Rabbi. This teaching of Rabbi, Ela Shapeshu Klapimata, that it's separated from the carbon, right? But the way it's separated, It went so far away from the maracha, from where the place it's supposed to, where the fire is. So if it went so far away, so then we say that's it. You don't you yerdu. You take off the whole kevesh of a klape mila. But what's if it's separated right by the maracha? It fell off. The beard separated, and the hair of the hair of the goat, the beard of the goat fell off. Okay, so if it's right next to the maracha, so then kruvi hudi krivelo equal. I say that only if it's mitzad mizbeach, then I would say you leave it on the mizbeach, right? Rabbi Zena said the only time that the hayra of Rebbe that you take it down is if it fell so far away from the maracha, then you take it down.
So how do you measure what's considered far?
You see it, but if it's on the side of the maracha, or it's on the way down. It's so far it's on its way down. It's at the edge. But if it's right at the tzad maracha, he says then you do burn it, even though it's perishu. But if it's perishu far away, then you don't. Then you take it down.
Does it matter when it was perishu?
No. What do you mean when it was perishu? What do you mean it doesn't matter? It was perishu before you burned it.
Or was it perishu? It was perishu
before you put it on the fire. Before you put it on the fire. You brought it up.
So this might be, it says that you could bring it up.
He brought it up while it was attached, and then perishu. It's separated. So if it's separated far away from the maracha, then you take it down. But if it's separated right on the side of the maracha, you put it on the fire.
But if it was separated before, you'd only bring it all.
No, you don't bring it. So the Gemara has vafilu perishu. It says Gemara, even if it's separated. After it's separated from the basa, how could you say that? You're making chilukim that if it's on the tzad maracha, you have to put it on the fire. We said if it's separated, you're not allowed to put it on the fire. Yeah. The only thing you put on the fire is the meat. Rather, he says no. What did Rabbi Zera mean to say? He said something else. That the atzamis that was separated have a din like kachim eloshepeishu lachazika. When do we say that will have a din like kachim? If it's separated only after you spray the blood, then it'll have a din like the basa itself. That there'll be a din meila. Avo peishu kaidam. He's not saying meila, but it'll have a din like kachim. Probably mitzad meila, yeah. Mitzad meila. So that's only if it was separated after the zika has a din meila, like kachim. Avlim pirshim begufa carbon kaidam zika. But what's if it was separated from the carbon before he sprayed the blood? Asai, so it has no din. It's not connected to the carbon b'chlal, right? So the zika doesn't make it kodesh anymore. Asay zika shesino. So the zika is mated b'hana. Afilu lamed minayu kata the sakina, even to make a handle for a knife. You can use that time to make the handle for a knife, because when did it become separated? Before it became kodesh. Before the zika. The zika makes it holy.
So the zika is only not on a ganze carbon because it's missing its hooks and its horns.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, sure. It's only for the basa. And the zika allows you, once you do the zika, just like it allows you to burn the carbon, so too it allows you to use the atzames for a handle. It says the words lo yiyah, which is extra. It says look in the pasuk. Then he ends off lo yiyah. And by kamashim it says again it says lo yiyah. So it's a gzeira shava that we make. That what ma osham, just like by a carbon osham, atzmois of mutarim, the bones the kahanim could have hana, right? Once you do the zikah, the atzmois of, you could use it for yourself. Since the kohen is allowed to eat the bas of the asham, so once he's allowed to have eat the asham itself, for sure he's allowed to have enough from the bones. But even though the basa, you can only eat it for a limited time, for whatever this man is set for a kamashim. But when it comes to the atzamis, it's not limited. You can use it for as long as you want. So to A'ela, the bones are mutter to use for the kahanim. It says, you want a mufni. You remember what mufni means? Mufni means a gzeira shava, that it should be a most powerful gzeira shava, and you can't use a svara to slug it up if it's totally extra, mishnei tzdadim, that the word lo yiyah is extra. So then, if it's mufni from both places and they both have the same words, that's the most powerful gzeira shava. So he says mufni, we have to say the lo yiyah, from which we learn out the gzeira shava, is mufni, is extra, and it's not used for anything else. The lo mufni, if it was not extra, meaning you could have used it for the guf adin itself, then you would have been able to slug it up with a svara, like we say. If it's not mufni, you can slug up a gzeira shava. How? Mala osham, by osham shekem sari mutter, that the basar is mutter for the kahanim to eat, and that's so. Just like the basar became mutter to the kahanim, so too the bones are mutter for the kahanim. But by A'ela, the basar is also, who says that the bones will be mutter. So you have to say lo yiyah. You say that the lo yiyah that says by the A'ela is completely extra. It's mufna, and that's why you can't slug it up. We could ask him, what about mufna mishnei tzdadim? But I don't know if it's mufna from both. He only says by the A'ela it's completely extra. Masiv Rav Ada bar Abba. Rav Ada bar Abba had asked on Rabbah from the following brayse. It says atzmos kadoshim lefnei hazika, the atzmos of kachim that was eaten or burnt before the zika, moilim bahed. There's a din me'ila, or you ate it, I'm sorry, hanachalim that is eaten, the atzmos of the kadoshim before the zika, there's a din me'ila. Well, acha zika, but once the zika was done, ain't moilim bahed. There's no din me'ila. And we said that what? That before the zika, there's no din me'ila, because it didn't become kaddish. And here it says lefnei zika is the din me'ila.
What do you mean? He was magdish kachim. He was going to be on the mizbeach, so therefore
atzmos kadoshim that he ate before the zika, the bones.
Okay.
We said before, if it's before the zika, the bones are not included. And here we say before the zika, it has a din me'ila. Ulacha zika, but once he sprayed the blood, ein moilim behem. Ve'i shalayla, what?
Okay.
And if by the atzmas of the Eilah, moilim behem, the Eilam, he says, by the Eilah, there's always a din me'ila. So from the Braisa's mashma, the kash is from here. When the Bais says mashma, even if the atzamis were detached from the carbon, right, and it was before the zrika, they still have a demeila, right? By the oila we see, before we said by the oila, if the atzamis were detached before the zrika, there is no demeila. And here he says there is a demeila. So he says, Ema, the Gemara says, you have to be makir the nusach of the Braisa. And you have to learn the Braisa like this. If it was separated, detached from the guf of the carbon of the azika before the spraying of the blood, there's no din of meila if it was detached before the zika. But la'acha zika, it wasn't kaddish, yeah? But lacha zika. But if it was detached only after the zika, so after but by the zika it was still attached. Mayalim bahen la'elam the din of meila. Even if it gets separated, there's still going to always be a din meila, because the zika is not going to be matrit.
The zika makes a kodesh.
The zika makes a kodesh. But the zika won't help, has no effect on that atzamis to make it mutter. Upliga the Rebbe Lezer, and Rebbe Lezer argues on Rabbi. He says the exact opposite. Gamar Rabbi Lezer, that Rabbi Lezer had said, Benegeya to the bones of the Oila, Peishu, if it was detached from the goof of the carbon lifnei hazrika, he says the reverse. Moyalim bahem. It does have a Dimeila versus the Tanakama said that if it was lifnei hazrika, ain't moyalim bahem. Or you want to call it the Rabbah. Rabbah was the Tanakama. Rabbah said it's a moyalim, and Rabbi Lezer says lifnei hazrika is moyalim bahem la'ilam. But if it was Piyashul Achazika, if it's separated after the Zrika, the bones were detached from the carbon. After the Zrika, Loy Nenen, you cannot have a no, but Veloy Mailin, there's no Dim Me'ila.
Why do they go the opposite streams?
Because he says, Lechatchila, Rabbi Lezer says, Lechatchila, it's Kaddish, as the Dim Me'ila. The part that's mated and takes it out of Me'ila is the Zika. The Zika makes it mutat for if it's a carbon that you can eat, for the people to eat, if it's a asham. Or if it's for Oila, the Zik is what's matter to take the bus and put it on the fire of the Mizbeah.
Because it's Kaidish, right?
It was Kaidish from before. He learns that one. But now the Zika, after the Zika, doesn't help for anything. The Zika has no effect to be matter the atzames. The Zika goes for the meat. If it's Oila, to be able to burn on the Mizbeah. Or for the meat of Hashem, for the.
What's the deal with that? Somebody's then after the Zika?
You can't. Officially, you're not allowed to have a no. But you're not oiva meila because minatayda he says midrabana. That's only midrabana he says. There's no dim meila because once he did the zikah, he took it out of kodesh.
What did he make it?
It made
the bus is also took out the kodesh.
Yeah, now the bus you can put out. You can eat it. The kahanim can eat if it's asham or shlamim. Can eat it after the zikah. It made a mutter. If a kohen can eat it, it's no more. There's no more meila.
So what does the other mandiyama say?
The other mandiyama says no. By parshu, the zikah makes it kadesh, right? The zikah makes it kadesh. You're right. The mutter when you put on the mizbeach is then matter the basa. Yeah. He learns no. The zikah makes a mutter. Who are you reading now? Rabbi Lezer? Rabbi says, if it's separated from the goof of the carbon before the spraying of the blood, then there's no demeila. It didn't become kaddish. There's no demeila. But if it was separated once the zika happened, then there's meila forever.
Because it's Kaidish.
Because it's Kaidish. It's Kaidish and there's nothing, and the zikah doesn't help to be matir. Rabbi Lezer says faket, mamish faket. He says before the zikah it's kachim. What takes it out of kachim for the people to be able to eat from the carbon? The zikah. And that some it says loy nanan. There's no dimeila. He says the loy nanan is only with the habana because minatayr is mutter. And therefore, somebody who has enough of it, he's not chayv shemila. Okay, so the Mishnah Kulan, all these things that we had above mentioned, if it fell off the mizbeach onto the floor, lo yachzir, you don't have to put it back on top of the mizbeach. So too, a wooden coal that fell off the mizbeach to the floor, lo yachzir, you don't have to return it. How about avorim, the limbs of a carbon, of a kosher carbon, that was in the middle of burning, and it fell off, the fire burnt it, and it fell off, and it fell off the mizbeach. So what's the halacha going to be? So he says, if it's before midnight, yachzer, he has to put this limb that was burnt back onto the mizbeach in order to finish the mitzvah of Haktorah. And since you mechuyev to return it, and the mitzvah of Haktorah hasn't yet been completed, so it's still kaddish because it's the middle of Haktorah, moilam bahen, so it has a demila, and somebody who has enough of it is chayiv to bring a kamila, meaning if he had enough b'shoygeg, and if it fell off the mizbeach after midnight, lo yasa, he doesn't have to place it back on the mizbeach. because it's considered the mitzvah of Yitan. He finished the mitzvah. It's as if it's completely burned. And there's no demeila.
Well, you don't need the coal. What's the meaning of the coal?
No, the meaning of burning. He says once is we're going to talk about how much burnt true also.
The coal has kodesh to it.
If it's the middle of the mitzvah of Aktorah, yeah, there has after Chatzos the Aktorah was done, so the mitzvah is finished. So it's not. There's no demeila. Sagt die Mishnah, Shem Sham is Beich Mekadosh Esar Loi Kach HaKeves Mekadosh. Just like the Mizbeach is Mekadosh anything that's fit to come on the Mizbeach, so too the ramp sanctifies anything that comes on it. Shem Sham is Beich VaHaKeves Mekachim Esar Lahen Kach HaKeves Mekachim. Just like the Mizbeach and the ramp sanctifies what's Raya for it, so too the Kelim are Mekadosh. Any klisharis that you makabel even a mincha, it sanctifies the kab mincha. The kaimetz becomes holy from the klisharis that it receives the.
Klisharis are even like the pitchforks that you stick into the buzzer.
Something that you makabel. It's not makabel. The pitchfork is he says. Shem Shem is well. Kelim makabel sarayim. Now call our kelim makachim.
Which kelim is he referring to?
He says beferish the klisharis. Okay. For to they use the kalim for the haktorah. They put on the kalim the things that they have to throw on to burn on the fire. How is this case talking about in the Mishnah that you're mechalik before chatzos you put it back? After chatzos you don't have to put it back. It says what's with that limb, that piece of meat? What is it? Mamish. If you say it's completely burnt. I'm sorry. It was not burnt. Even these were mamish, it's still not yet completely burnt, and it fell off. Even after chatzos, you have to put it back. Either less mamish, and if it's completely burnt, because you look at the limb. Why should you look at the what time it is? Abe says bread, give on, put it back on the mizbeach, and either less mamish, and if it was completely burnt. So even if before chatzos, if it fell off, if it's completely burned, there's no problem. He says b'shriri. It's talking about it's not burnt to crisp. It's hard. The fire made it hard, but it's not coals yet. How do you know by hard you're going to be machalik before chatzos that you put it back on, and after chatzos you don't put it back on?
What does b'shriri mean?
B'shiri means that it's hard. It became hardened by the fire.
So then what's it then?
Then it'll make a difference. If it was before chatzos, it fell off, you put it back on. But if it's after chatzos, you don't. In fact, how do we know this? Rav says, it says in one pasuk, it says it has to be burnt the whole night on the Mizbeach. That the mitzvah of burning the Ivarim, it prolongs through the whole night. Okay, even at the end of the night, you mechuyev. If it falls down, you have to put it back on. Then because says the whole night you have to take off the ashes. It's mashma that you're already allowed to take off the dashan, meaning of the limb throughout the whole night. So what are you saying? Only that before chatzos you have to put it back on the mizbeach? Says you have to divide it. The two psukim seem to contradict. Either the mitzvah is to take off the ashes all night. That means even if it's even in the first part of the night, or the din is that it has to burn throughout the whole night, and even if it's completely burned the first half of the night. So he says no, chalkeyu. You have to divide the night into two. Chetzio haktorah, that the first part of the night till chatzos it's a mitzvah to burn it, and even if it's hardened. And it wasn't completely burnt. You still there's a chiyuv of aktorah, and if it fell off the mizbeach, you put it back on. But the chetzi hasheni laharama, that even if it wasn't completely burnt and it fell off, it doesn't matter. It's considered like ash, even if it wasn't burnt into coals.
So it means no chatzos. What would be the din?
It's like ashes. Even though it's not coals.
Even not, it's still not. It's still burning.
It's still hard, and not into a coal. It didn't turn into a coal. Maser Rav Kahana has the kasha on Rav from the Mishnah. It says, "B'chol yoy every day, they would remove the ashes from the Mizbeach from the time that the Kreis Hageva, that the chicken, what's the English word for it? Makes the sounds, no? Crow, whatever. And the chicken, when the chicken barks. What's Kreis Hageva? Hyman. Kreis Hageva. He has something in the ear. Okay. Oy Samachlai, or close to the time of the Kreis Hageva. Milfana, by Ma'achla, a little bit before or after. B'yom HaKippurim, they would remove the ashes, B'chatzos, midnight. Barugolim, they save Hashmedes Hashena before the midnight, in the first Hashmeda. There were 4 Hashmedas, or 3 Hashmedas. Here he brings down 8. How many Hashmedas? It says Shalish, or 4. There were 3 groups that changed, or some say 4. 3 Chalakim of the night. The first Chalak of the night, that's when they remove the ashes. These Hakadak Mechatzos, the Raisa, if it's going to enter your mind that the din of Aktor is till Chatzos, so Heichi Mag Deminan, how could you make it mutter to remove the ashes before Chatzos if the midst of the ashes starts from Chatzos? Mamish Chatzos. And then Heichi Machrinan. And how is it mutter? You said that you could do it Samach L'Kreis Hageva. That Samach L'Kreis Hageva, you can wait till the morning and then remove the ashes. The ashes has to be removed. Zizim Magdim Mitzvahs, and you have to do it right by Chatzos, right after Chatzos.
During that period, Chatzos till the morning.
Well, yeah, but right away it says Zizim Magdim Mitzvahs. Kalayma Yeshli is not L'Kai Mitzvahs. Yeah, Kishevsha. And since the Torah established the Zman Trumas Hadesh is B'Chatzos Halayla, how do you say that you can push it off to the end of the night? Says you want to Rabbi Yochanan says Mashma Kol Halayla. From this, that it's from the Mashmos of the pasuk that says that the Zman burning day Varia Oila is the whole night. Any idea that the Zman to finish the Aktos Eivarim is at Abayka? If it says it's the whole night, why do you have to say that the Zman is till the morning? You said the whole night. The whole night means till the morning. What is that Abayka coming to teach us? And the Gemara, 10 Baker Levakroi Shalayla, meaning there's a morning before the morning. Hilkach, that's why the Chacham said different times. Kol Yoima, every normal day, it's Mikreis Hageva Sagi. It's enough to remove the ashes at the end of the night, right before the morning. I mean, by the Kreis Hageva. Kreis Hageva. B'yom HaKippurim, so B'yom HaKippurim, on Yom Kippurim, Mishum Chul Shel Kohen Gadol, because the Kohen Gadol has to work to do that the whole day, he'll be weak. So we start Mechatzos from the midnight, so that the Kohen Gadol could do the shechita of the Tamid and David Sayim, benachas. He shouldn't have to be under pressure. So it's cleaned up already from before. So when he has to start the Avodah of the Tamid on Yom Kippur, no, somebody else did it, but it had to be cleaned up. He didn't have to have that pressure. The pressure takes out of a person. It seems like it. Yeah. But the Golem and Yom Tiv, when the Nefeshi Kabbalah is that there was so many behemoths. I mean, and the Kadmos Yisrael, and many Yidden came when it came to Shalosh Golem. They came so early. Thousands of people were there already from early in the morning, from the whole night before. So therefore, Mashmanis Shena, they would start already cleaning.
People there were a lot of Kahanim were there.
A lot of people were there.
Not inside the
but there were the behemoths. They were all waiting online. There was going to be it would be very hard.
Where could they stand? They only can stand where they stand. All these people.
It seems like it blocked them from bringing out the Deshen outside. They had to take out the ashes. So these people would block them. So before the crowd got so heavy, or even if it was heavy, they had a whole night to clean it up. So even they had to push through the crowd, but they made it through. Here he says that the reason why they did it so early.
That's early, right? By Chatzos?
No, before Chatzos. before.
That's nice.
Because the people were there from the day before by the Shalosh Regalim.
So when did they start cleaning it up?
By the end of the first Hashmeira, the 3 Hashmeiras.
Okay.
It says, "Lo'yoy magdim kokach." Yeah, mishum sheim lo'yoy magdim kokach lo'yoy chaylam lo'uch yisrael lo'yitzil lo'makman etzinais machmas hadich harav shohay ba'azor me'ribi hanas ma'akabanis. There were so many people, so many behemoths. They wouldn't be able to, if they would wait too long, they wouldn't be able to bring it to the place where they have to burn it. That's why they did it by the end of the first Hashmeira. Kidiktani Sefer, like it says in the Sefer of the mission that we brought before, like Hoisa Kriyas Hagever Magas Acha Hoisa Azor Melei Yisrael, that the Kriyas Hagever wouldn't reach, meaning by Yom Tovim till the Azor was filled, that they already had brought their kabbanis at that time.